Well, it was the moment we all had been waiting for, and it turned out to be a huge disappointment. The Department of Justice released phase one of the Epstein files, but the problem was that a lot of the information was either already known or not really explosive due to being leaked in the past. Some of the first to get their hands on the files appeared to be a group of conservative influencers.
The released files are around 300 pages. The files include Epstein's personal contact list of victims' names and phone numbers, and flight logs.
Bondi sent a letter to FBI Director Kash Patel, and in it she wrote, "I repeatedly questioned whether this was the full set of documents responsive to my request, and was repeatedly assured by the FBI that we had received the full set of documents. Late yesterday, I learned from a source that the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the existence of these files."
Patel responded to Bondi's letter on X. He said that there will be no cover-ups or missing documents, and that anyone who has gone against this directive, either in the past or future, will be pursued. Patel said the FBI will uncover any missing documents and hand everything over to the DOJ.
Social media erupted with reactions to the apparently botched release. Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna wrote on X, "I nor the task force were given or reviewed the Epstein documents being released today. A New York Post story just revealed that the documents will simply be Epstein's phone book. This is not what we or the American people asked for, and a complete disappointment. Get us the information we asked for."
Semaphor's politics reporter Dave Weigel wrote on Blue Sky, "Why didn't Trump release these documents when he was president the first time? The deep state? If the documents don't show that George Soros is a pedo, also the deep state."
Well, I think it's no secret, Atiba, that this was a huge disappointment. These documents mostly consisted of information that's already been publicly reported, whether through leaks or investigative reporting by members of the media, and didn't tell us anything about the client list, which is what everyone has been clamoring for in relation to the Epstein files for quite some time. And so I think there's two potential possibilities here. One is that Attorney General Pam Bondi's right. It's the Southern District of New York's fault. It's the FBI field office in New York's fault. They hid the documents from her. She had no idea that there was this additional 1,000 pages. I don't buy that explanation, because if you looked at this binder, which I got the opportunity to yesterday because I happened to run into one of the influencers who got one, you would know that that's not the full information, because it's mostly redacted victim names, Jeffrey Epstein's contact book, his Rolodex, so to speak, and then a small list of potential evidence that would have been used in these cases. The client list is nowhere to be found. It's obviously not the full book of documents. And she was on Jesse Waters' show on Fox News the night before this drop, basically hyping up this as this huge revelation that was going to come out, that we were going to be sickened by the things that we saw in this 200 to 300 page binder, and that was not the case. So this feels like frankly, a cover-up, or at least a dereliction of duty, where she overpromised significantly and then tried to clean it up by pointing fingers at the New York FBI field office. And I think it's probably the case that they did withhold documents, but I don't buy the fact that she didn't know this until a whistleblower came to her.
There's so much to unpack with this. I mean, first off, I don't think we're going to ever find out who is on that list, because there are too many influential people that we have been accused or that we've heard of. But I also want to bring attention back and make sure that we remember that this was about underage children being sexually exploited.
Right.
That's what this is really about. I mean, so, you know, the whole idea that there was going to be this big reveal, I think there were many of us that did not expect that there was going to be a big reveal. I mean, for years we've heard that, oh, they're going to release things about Dr. King's assassination. They were going to release things about John F. Kennedy. This is, to me, up there in terms of that we're not going to. There's too many powerful people that are involved with this, that if they were to reveal that while they're still living, it could have some detrimental impact.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I have a lot of skepticism about what we're actually going to get out of the JFK, RFK, and MLK docs as well. Because if you believe that the CIA was involved in one or all of those assassinations, who's to say that they didn't already scrub all of the evidence of their involvement? Do we really think that they're going to indict themselves by releasing this information to the public? Seems very unlikely to me. And the other problem with this that I had was the way that it was given to this group of influencers, but we had to wait hours after they got these binders to actually see the full document ourselves posted on the FBI website. And I was able to talk to one of the influencers, as I mentioned, who got this binder, and he told me that they were not even invited to the White House for this purpose. They were actually there to have a meeting about messaging with J.D. Vance, and then the FBI comes in and says, hey guys, surprise, we have this binder for you, and you're not allowed to look at it while you're in the White House, but you can open it once you leave, and it's all embargoed for 3 p.m. Now, naturally, some of the materials leaked almost immediately. They had this photo op of them holding up the binder, smiling, looking so excited to have access to this information. And I think they kind of got played for fools.
Access to this?
Right.
I mean,
yeah, or a big black box.
Right. I mean, so, this whole conversation, I've heard for a number of years this term fake news. This was fake news. This is nothing new. This is nothing, this is just something for us to continue talking about on a Friday, that, okay, these influencers received some information when there really was messaging on, we don't want you to talk about this, or this is what we want you to talk about. And I think that in terms of some other things, when we talk about what's happening in terms of press, et cetera, that is also along those lines of why some people are saying that they want to have credible news sources available, and having influencers who are releasing something that really impacted the lives of many, many, many women it's just sad, because there were so many people that were expecting that they were going to finally hear something new, and it was a big disappointment.
And I know some of these influencers. I consider some of them my friends. Some of them I have great respect for. Some of them have been diving into the Epstein case and investigation for a number of years. But to me, it was wild that what they didn't do when they got these binders was immediately go to a scanner and scan every single page and upload it and put it on their platforms for everybody to see the full scope of the documents and be able to parse through it themselves. And what I would have done is I would have first taken that step, and then maybe I would have had an article at the Daily Caller with the highlights from it for people who didn't want to read the full document. But I thought it was a real dereliction of duty and a disrespect to the American people that they did not upload the full documentation for people to look through, and we had to wait and watch these people's Twitter accounts to see what they decided was the important piece of the information. To me, this was no different than the gatekeeping that conservatives have accused mainstream media, myself included, of doing for the past 4 years. I thought it was a huge, huge whiff on behalf of the administration.
I feel for your friend, and let's see if there's anything else that comes from this other conversation about what New York is withholding.
Right. And the deadline is passed, right? That was at 8 a.m. this morning. We've heard nothing else from the FBI about whether or not the New York office is complying, whether they've heard anything. The American people are going to start to get pretty restless.
We'll just go on to the next story.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't know. People are pretty fired up. But speaking of fired up, firing and rehiring federal workers, well, we'll explain. That's next on Rising.